welcome back. Today I'm coming to you with a DIY jumpsuit out of this amazing spandex fabric that I got from Joann's. This is going to be a 4-way stretch, so it's going to stretch both horizontal and vertically. This is a perfect fabric to contour your body and hug every single area. To get started, you want to go ahead and take the fabric of your choice, and you want to make sure that your right sides are together. So you want to make sure the right sides of the fabric are kissing. The right side means the side of the fabric that has the pattern on it. Next, you want to make sure you have some sharp scissors. I had just purchased these from Joann's when I bought this fabric, just to ensure that they are as sharp as possible, guys. There's nothing like working with dull scissors. Now we're getting into the fun part. So I'm taking my jumpsuit pattern that I'm going to use and placing it on top of the fabric that we're going to use. As you can see in the background, I'm actually measuring from my waistline all the way down to my ankles to get an accurate measurement. When you're measuring, you want to make sure that you're actually getting your true waist. So you want to actually bend over towards the floor, and the area that has that's directly where the crease is, that's going to be your true waist, and then all the way down to the ankle or all the way down to the foot if you're going to have a flare out at the end or whatever design that you want to use. So what I have going on here is, this is one side of the pattern. This is going to be the front. I'm sorry, it's actually the back. It has a curve, so it's going to be the back. Most of the times with my jumpsuits, I will cut the back not on the fold because I want it to be in 2 pieces. That way I can have the curve in my back. So the ratio of my waist to my hips, it's like a huge difference. So if I did a straight back, it would not work out. I would have that gap in the middle of my back. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So this pattern is created so that you don't have that gap in the back. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting out the pattern and I'm leaving 1/2 inch seam allowance. That way, once we sew it, we're not losing any of our size. Once I finish that, I want to go ahead and get our pins, and the part that I'm going to sew together, I like to pin that together. That way there's no movement. That's literally going to be the line where the curve of your back is. So I'm going to do all the way from the crotch area, which is all the way to the left of the screen, all the way up to where the neck is. So I'm just putting pins in place. That way when I sew, nothing is out of order, nothing slides to the side, and then we can get a real nice crisp seam. Now you literally want to do the same exact thing to the front piece. Normally the front of a jumpsuit is on a fold. Most people don't like the seam in the front, but for this particular design, I want to go ahead and put a zipper in the front. So once I place the pattern down, I'm going to not put it on the fold. I'm going to put it just like I did the back piece because we're going to need that opening. Okay guys, so this is the front of the jumpsuit. What I'm doing in this picture, I'm actually taking the pins, and this is going to be a seam area, so I'm putting pins where it's supposed to be sewn down. But remember earlier in the video I did advise that I was going to go ahead and use a zipper, so this step is absolutely not necessary, and before sewing I'm actually going to take them off anyway. So don't make the mistake that I made. Follow the pattern that you're going to use. So if you're going to do a zipper, this step is absolutely unnecessary. On another note, if you can notice where I'm placing these pins, it is absolutely straight. This is actually the crotch area all the way up to your collarbone. So it doesn't have that space and that possibility of a gap that's in the back because we don't have a curve there. So most of the time it's pretty flat, pretty straight down area. So we don't need any of the curve that we had on that back piece. So that's going to be a huge thing where you can tell the difference between your front and your back piece. After we're done with cutting out the front and the back of the jumpsuit, we're actually going to do that same exact thing that we did to create our arms. So we're going to fold our fabric in half, we're going to have the right sides together, and then we're going to go ahead and place our arm pattern. This is actually an outfit that I made a while back that I'm using. I want my arm to actually be quite longer than what we have on this bodysuit that we're using. So I'm just going to measure from my shoulder bone all the way down to my wrist, and I might want it a little bit longer just to give us some room to play around with. So I went ahead and measured it, and then I'm going to get it cut out, and then we're going to do the exact same thing to the other arm. You want to make sure that you're getting all the way from the shoulder bone all the way down to your wrist, just to make sure everything is measured correctly and you get the best fit the very first time. So we're going to work on the second arm. So we're going to fold it over again, right sides together, and you want to use as least fabric as you can. So this is literally all the fabric that we have left for our jumpsuit. So you definitely have to use your fabric wisely, and then put the pattern where it is not taking up all of your fabric. So don't put it directly in the middle of your fabric. You are going to be screwed. So definitely do not do that. You want to make sure that you have enough fabric to complete your entire project without having to go to the store. This is how it should look. You have your two arms, you're going to have your front piece, and then you're going to have your back piece. Remember, your back piece has that curve to it, and they're pretty much the same size, the same length. Okay guys, so you want to pick up everything that you need, all of your patterns that you cut out. So you want to do your two arms in front of your back and bring it over to your sewing machine. This is a Juki industrial sewing machine. I started off with a house machine, a regular machine from Walmart, and then went to the Singer Confidence, and then upgraded to one of our industrial machines. So I have this one, and I have a Serger industrial machine, and then I got some other options as well. So while sewing the arm, I went ahead and started the stitch, back stitched, and then started again to make sure we lock in the stitch where it doesn't move. And then we're going to back stitch and forward stitch again once we get to the end of it. With stretch fabrics, you want to go ahead and use a zigzag stitch. That way when you're getting into your garment, your stitches don't pop. In my case, I use a straight stitch because my serger is not working at the time. I need to get a new part. So after I finished my entire garment, I actually took it home and did it on my home machine. So you guys, on this step, please make sure you're using a zigzag stitch. That way when you get into your garment, your stitches don't pop. Can you imagine if I literally did straight stitches throughout this whole garment and then actually went out for New Year's Eve with this outfit and everything popped? That would be terrible, sis, because we would be in the club, different body parts just popping out of nowhere, and that would be terrible. So make sure you're using a zigzag stitch for your stretch fabrics. Now we're going to go ahead and sew our jumpsuit pieces together. This is going to be the back piece, so we're going to go all the way from the crotch area all the way up to the neck. At the beginning, as you just seen, you want to make sure that you stitch, back stitch, and then stitch again all the way to the end. And then once you get to the top of the neck, you want to make sure that you back stitch and then forward stitch. That's going to lock in your stitch, you guys, that way it doesn't unravel. Please don't forget. Okay, so I have the back sewn. You remember how I was telling you earlier that the front didn't need to be stitched down because we're going to use this zipper here. So you want to open your zipper. We're not going to quite use it yet just because we want to make sure the entire garment is sewn before we add a zipper, because it will not look right at all. It will be terrible. The seams wouldn't be finished, so it will be a halfway finished project, and we do not halfway anything. If we're going to put it on, we want to make sure that it is to its T. So I still have the pins on the garment just because I want to sew from the crotch area all the way up to where I want the zipper to stop. So I'm going to take the zipper and actually measure it against the garment to see how far I want the zipper to come down, or if I have to sew up a little more just so the end of the zipper can meet. And that's exactly what I'm doing in this clip. So you'll see me sewing, measuring a little bit, sewing, measuring a little bit, just to make sure that everything is spot on. Once I figure out exactly where I want my zipper to stop, I want to take out all the pins where the zipper is going to be placed. At this point, I realized that I did not cut out the neckband, so I had to go back and cut out a neckband piece, and it's literally going to be a rectangle. So you want to do the length is going to be the measurement around your entire neck, and then you want to subtract about an inch or two depending on how stretchy your fabric is, and the length is actually going to be 6 inches if you want a 3-inch neckband, 8 inches if you want a 4-inch neckband, because we're going to literally cut it in half. Okay, so I'm taking our sleeve and I'm going to go ahead and pull it right side out. That way we can add it to our jumpsuit and get it sewn on. So what I'm going to do is put that one to the side. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the other one, and we want to make sure it's right side out before we go ahead and add it to our jumpsuit and add pins to it. That way we can go ahead and get it sewn down. Before we put our arms into play, we want to go ahead and make sure that our entire garment is sewn down all the way on the side seams, the crotch area, the shoulder area. Everywhere that we see the pins, we want to go ahead and get it sewn down, starting with the crotch area. That way everything can be aligned and even throughout our jumpsuit. Adding the sleeve. So what we're going to do is place the sleeve right inside of this slit. So this is essentially the circle around under your arm. So you want to make sure your seams are aligned. Go ahead and take that piece with the right side out and put it inside of the jumpsuit. That way the right sides match. So that's pattern to pattern are going to match, and you want to make sure your seams match. So that's the underarm seam as well as the side of the jumpsuit seam. Those need to match perfectly, and then you want to add a pin. You want to do the exact same thing to the top of the shoulder, and then the same thing to the other arm. right side out, including the arms, the legs, everything on your jumpsuit should be turned right side out. That way you can check and see if everything's sewn correctly, if all your seams match and everything. As you can see, the seams match perfectly. Yes, girl, go ahead. So I'm almost done mastering this hair technique. I'm almost there, guys, so you guys can learn with me. So as you can see, it's a straight stitch down in the back. Literally all of the stitches are going to be replaced with a surge stitch. So that's like a stretch stitch, that way it won't pop once I put it on. You won't be able to see that part because I literally do it, like I said, off of camera once I get done. I just wanted you guys to walk through with me with the basics. So right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and add the neckband onto the jumpsuit. So you wanna go ahead and fold it directly in half, hot dog style. Is that what they used to say when we were in elementary? Hot dog style. And you want to pin the very beginning to the very beginning of one side of the neck, and then you want to make sure that you get the end to the other end pinned down. Now, it might not go on directly flat down just because you're going to have to stretch it a little bit. That way it's snug on your neck and not just literally sitting up there like you Count Dracula or something. So make sure if you need to stretch it that you stretch it, and make sure all of your seams are even. You don't want any puckering or any bunching up at this point because you want everything to be seamless. Especially if you're going to be selling this garment to someone, you want to make sure that everything is seamless and perfect for your client, because we definitely need them to come back. At this point, I'm putting the end pin down, and this is what I mean by stretch. You see how the waistband, well, it's not a waistband because it's clearly the neck, but you see how the neckband is bigger than our actual garment neck piece. That's where the stretching will come into play, and then we'll go ahead and get it sewn. So at the beginning, make sure you backtrack, and then you're gonna go ahead and sew all the way down, and then you're gonna backtrack once again. So on this industrial machine, the lever that's over to my right, that's actually the lever that you'll push down for it to back tack, and then release it and it'll keep going back as normal. If it's done right, all of the seams should be matched up. You should have been able to get the beginning and the end of the neckband on. And look how perfectly that is. Everything's aligned, everything's looking good. The last thing that we need to do is add the zipper. So what I'm doing is going to go ahead and measure from the top of the neckband all the way down to where I want my zipper to end. Be sure to get the correct size zipper when you're dealing with zippers, because if it's too short, then it's definitely not going to work. If it's too long, you still have a chance, because depending on the type of zipper that you use, you'll still be able to sew over the bottom of the zipper and then cut off the access. So just make sure you're checking your size of your zipper to the actual length of your garment. When sewing the zipper, you want to make sure that the right side of the zipper is face down onto the right side of the fabric, and you'll do one side at a time. So you want to go ahead and sew down this side, and then we'll go ahead and sew down the other side so that the right side of the other end of the zipper is going to be facing the right side of the fabric on the other side. So I use pins just to make sure everything is lined up, because when it comes to zippers, you do not want to mess that up. At the end, if I wouldn't have used pins, and it's a stretchy fabric, so once it's going under the foot on the machine, it's going to bunch, it's going to scrabble, all the extra good stuff. So you want to make sure you have the pins in place, that way we don't have those problems, because you will have to do the zipper over and over again. You don't want to do that, sis. You want to make sure you go ahead and get that done the first time. all of the threads because you don't want anything to get snug or snagged, and then everything comes unraveled. Especially when selling garments to your clients, it's so easy for them to pull a string that they see is loose and then everything becomes unraveled. But basically that's exactly how your zipper is supposed to look on one side, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side, but we want to make sure the zipper's down, that way we can get the right sides together. When it comes to making sure everything is aligned, I like to go ahead and use a pin on our neckband and where our actual neck is on our jumpsuit. That way when we are sewing the other side, we want to make sure those are even. As long as those are even, our zipper should be good and we shouldn't have any lumps or any wrinkles or crinkles. Because it's a stretch fabric, we have to be super careful, because as you're sewing under that feed, it is just gonna go, and if you're not hands-on and controlling it, you will have all kind of waves in your zipper, sis, and we don't want that. Especially if we're going to be sending this off, we want to make sure everything is top notch. Pretty close to the end. What you want to do is sew all the way down to make sure that you don't have any extra space between the zipper and your seam on the inside of that zipper. So I'm going to go literally all the way down the front of the zipper. You want to make sure you have matching thread or dark thread depending on the design that you're going for. In this case, I did a black thread just because it will not be shown. Like, you literally wouldn't be able to see it just because the actual fabric that we're using is so dark. zipper came out up close. Look how neat that stitching is, guys. This is exactly how you want it to look if you are going to be wearing it, of course, because you are showing off your product, but most definitely if you are going to be selling this unit to someone, you want to make sure everything is nice and crisp. Okay, y'all, you want to make sure that the seams on the legs are hemmed. Well, you want to make sure it's hemmed on the legs and the end of your arms where your wrist is before you actually wear your garment out. That way you're not looking tacky. In the video, I don't actually do this because I take it home and finish this piece, guys. But look at this. It's stretch material, so it's not going to lay all the way out flat just because it is a spandex material. But like I was saying, those ends are going to be hemmed and the ends of the arm are going to be hemmed before I put this on, as well as everything that I just did on camera is going to be serged, which takes only a couple minutes. Like, I literally serged this entire outfit in less than 5 minutes. That's going to give us the stretch that we need so that nothing is popping while we are in the club trying to pop, sis. We do not want any of those problems, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will leave any details that you want down below. Here are a couple pictures of me New Year's Eve when I went out in the outfit that I made, and I got so many compliments, guys. If you have any questions, please leave your comment below, and please make sure that you comment and subscribe, y'all, and please turn on those post notifications. That way you can keep up with my next videos, friend.